Lighter than a feather, flowing in the weather. Hearts beating loud, cause we are together. Lighter than a feather, flowing in the weather. Hearts beating loud, cause we are together. We looking up at the stars, I got you all in my arms. Nervous cause I'm with you tonight. Angel from the heavens, got all of the sevens. Lucky to have you by my side. Our eyes meet and time has stopped. Felt like it was just the two of us. Our hearts dancing to the loudest beat, and our hearts are forever inside of me. I'll shout your name, 'cause you are all I need. So come with me, I promise I will never leave.
Hello, everyone. My name is Colleen, and my pronouns are she and her. Welcome to today's Community Orgs panel. Just a short introduction about myself. I am a Master's of Social Work intern at U of H and candidate at U of H, and I'm currently completing my field placement with OCA Greater Houston. As your MC for this evening, I want to thank you all for joining us in this live Q&A with our incredible Starry Nite community partners. As some of you may already know, the mission of Starry Nite Festival is to promote AAPI artists, craftspeople, and entrepreneurs, and to create an AAPI community space that promotes civic engagement in Asiatown, Houston, as a cultural destination for the arts. OCA Greater Houston has been giving back to the community for years. This festival is a thank you to all of the support and partnership that we have made throughout the years. We want to highlight artists, youth, organizations, and businesses that support the community by sharing their acts of giving. And on that note, I am very honored to be joined by representatives of some of our community partners for this event. First up, I am excited to introduce Chelsea Badad from Unipro. Hi, Chelsea.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Chelsea. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm the upcoming president-elect for the Unipro Filipino American Unity for Progress Texas chapter. And at Unipro, our mission is to engage Filipino Americans through collaboration, advocacy, and education. For the Texas chapter specifically, a few of our notable programs are Unipro's Summer Mentorship, a Leadership Retreat, which is in collaboration with 14 collegiate organizations, and Lumika, an art showcase. And so Lumika is usually in person, but of course, for this upcoming Lumika, which is happening next month, we're hosting a virtual experience. So we'll have live performances and we're launching a website. But that's a little bit about Unipro and what we have going on. So thank you so much for bringing me here today, and it's lovely to meet everyone.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight, Chelsea. Please help me welcome our next representative, Karen Maldonado with Mi Familia Vota.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Maldonado. I'm a PhD philosophy student and a community engagement intern at Mi Familia Vota. I use she, her pronouns, and I have been interning for about 2 months, but I got to experience the election and the build up to it, and I got that experience on my end.
Thank you for joining us tonight, Karen. Next up is Irfana Hussain from DAIA.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Irfana Hussain. I am the Director of Outreach and Education at DAIA, an organization that was started here in the greater Houston area in 1996. And our mission is to provide culturally specific services for South Asian survivors of domestic and sexual violence. We provide a whole host of services that target and focus on the trauma and the barriers that an immigrant community like the South Asian community would face in accessing help and justice. And some of our services include case management, our legal advocacy and representation that we provide, housing, financial assistance, and mental health counseling. And we're able to provide language access in multiple South Asian languages. I'm excited to be here on this panel speaking with you all tonight about how we give back to the community and how we all kind of work together to serve our greater Houston community and the Asian American community.
Thanks, Irfana. Next up is Abdur Khan from the Pakistani American Voters Association. Hi, Abdur.
Hi, good evening. This is Abdur Khan, and since everybody knows the oldest person in the panel, and I have been around with social activities in Houston, Texas, last 30 years. But our organization was born in Chicago, Illinois, in 1984. But actually, it was reorganized here in Texas in early 90s. And then we have been here. Basic thing was voter registration. Because in our community, most of the people, they were not interested in voting or registering votes. And a lot of things, they were behind the American political system. So the main purpose of this organization, Pakistani American Voter Association, unfortunately, I can see my logo here. It's not our logo. This logo is another organization, Pakistani American Volunteers. Pakistani American Volunteers is another organization. I used to be on their board some time ago, but our logo, I think it might be my fault. I didn't send you guys the logo and the bio. This is why you guys put somebody else's logo. Anyway, so in last election and Census 2020, our community did a lot. We went to radio station, we went to newspapers, we have been printing full-page color ad in all the South Asian language newspapers, and waking up the community that they should be counted, they should participate fully in the U.S. Census 2020, and also election 2020. So these were the two major events or major campaigns in 2020, election 2020 and Census 2020. So we did a lot of things in that.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. This is what I
have. Yeah, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Abdur. Now that we have met all of our wonderful panelists representing a few of the most amazing community orgs here in Houston, let's jump right into the question and answer portion.
Sure.
Yes. So for everyone watching this live stream, please feel free to ask any question you may have about these wonderful orgs, about anything, any questions about community organizing, and even questions on how to get involved. Just type your questions on the comment thread, and we will try to get to as many as we can. So while we're waiting on that, I actually have a few questions pre-planned to ask you guys tonight. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. In the spirit of giving, the theme of this event, I wanted to know how your organization embodies the theme of the festival, which is giving, like giving back to the community, giving space for unheard voices. Yeah, Chelsea, would you like to start us off?
Sure. Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me well. So Unipro embodies the theme of giving because throughout the year, we organize events and programs to serve Filipino American communities and tailor activities to their needs. We always strive to create safe spaces, make sure that they're welcoming for people so we can have critical dialogue, so we can share stories and connect with one another. Over the years, we've served our community by mentoring students and investing in young leaders so that they can make an impact in their circle of influences. And personally, UniPro has given me so many opportunities to grow and utilize resources to not only pour into the community, but to also unpack my cultural identity. I'm a third culture kid since my parents are both immigrants and I was born here in Texas. So being involved in this community has actually shown me that every person experiences some form of trauma. So how do we channel this pain into something positive and meaningful? How can we use the lessons that we learned from our journey of healing to help someone else? So in every program that we create, we are giving or sharing a piece of ourselves. And we encourage everyone who's involved in our activities to share their stories and to connect with one another as well. And one of our values is actually kapwa, which is spelled K-A-P-W-A. And that's a Filipino term for one shared identity. In every event or program, we want everyone to feel kapwa or that spirit of solidarity so that we can define progress together and push society towards a better future.
Thanks, Chelsea. Yeah, that word resonates a lot growing up in the Philippines. I really love that idea behind it. Irfana, would you like to share?
Sure. Yeah, so with this year, we provide services and support to a community that basically their power and agency has been taken away because of the abuse. And that's, part of our mission is to empower the South Asian community and give them that power and agency that they deserve and have the right to. And so for this year, as we're reflecting on 2020, we realize that not only does the abuse take away the power and agency of an individual, but the pandemic created even larger barriers that disempowered and disenfranchised and just taking away any type of control you would have over your environment, over your community, or whatever access that you would need to resources. And we realized quickly when the lockdown started and when the pandemic started that we needed to figure out how to, help our clients and survivors who are not our clients right now and might not know what resources are available. How can we empower them and how can we give that agency back to them? One of the things that we really talked about this year is that while this pandemic is going on, domestic violence has always been a shadow or silent pandemic all of this time. And it's only now that there was a huge focus on it because we were trying to figure out as a community in the greater Houston area, how do we make sure that the vulnerable people are not going to fall through the cracks? And we were very fortunate to have our community really rise up to that challenge, and the city of Houston and other organizations. And we were able to give back not just, assistance in the ways of like food, but, we were really proud that we were able to donate over $100,000, right? Like give that directly to our clients and to survivors. And, this was COVID relief that they desperately needed. And we just had tremendous giving coming from our community members, people donating grocery gift cards. So that way, young mothers and their children can have access to nutritious food, and people donating technology items. So that way they can have access to the help and to the resources and the education that, we're also fortunate to have. And a lot of times we take it for granted, like, internet access, or even having internet as a basic utility, right? Which oftentimes is not covered by relief money or by grants, community grants. And so really in the spirit of giving, we at DAIA have been just really proud of the staff and the volunteers in the community of how they gave back. And we are also really proud that we worked so hard this year, harder than we've ever worked and more creatively than we've ever worked to be able to give that power and agency back to the silent victims and the unheard voices that were suffering, in silently, and then compounded by the pandemic. So that's sort of where we're at as an organization, and we know the work is not finished, and we're looking forward to 2021 to really figure out, how can we sustain this and how can we continue giving back to the community.
Thank you for that, Irvana. It really, this year really forced us to become more creative and to really make use of what we have. I was just thinking the other day about how lucky we are to be experiencing this during this tech age where we can just go on live and kind of share our message with such a wide audience. On that note, I wanted to kind of, as community organizers, I wanted to learn more about how did you guys navigate the challenges that 2020 just threw at us, maintaining that sense of purpose and the grit. Can you guys share some of your experience with that?
Sure. I think what was most challenging in this period was learning the new digital system and platforms. Some people prefer Zoom, some people prefer Google Meet. This is my first time using StreamYard, for example, and so just learning every day. Okay, all right, let's try something new, but we figured out how to still gather and show out despite what was going out. And we reached out to a big amount of Latino voters and young voters way before elections. And even as, we were navigating the pandemic, we did not stop, keeping sight of what was really our goal, which was to get people to vote.
Yeah, I heard a lot about Mi Familia Vota's initiatives during the election. You guys did so much. Well, speaking of technology and StreamYard, Ashley want to introduce another community organizer, Nikki Mcdonald from the Native American Indian Center of Houston. Hi, Nikki. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm the director of the American Indian Center here in Houston. We just opened in February. As a matter of fact, just a couple of weeks before the pandemic shut everyone down. So we've definitely had a challenging and exciting year this year. And I'm so thankful to be a part of this. And thank you so much for having me here.
Welcome. Yeah, we were just talking about how each organization has embodied the spirit of giving this year. Can you share some of the things that your community org?
Well, I can definitely say, we were talking to just a second ago about the challenges. I certainly, when we had our grand opening at the end of February, I certainly wasn't expecting to happen what happened, right? So it definitely changed all of our plans that we had for the first year, and it was more into survival mode. And so what we did was we tried to find the greatest needs in our community. And really try to meet those needs. Some of the things that we did, like many other organizations, we were able to distribute PPE equipment. We were also able to provide meals for a lot of our tribal elders. We really, one thing that we did, and I'm so thankful to the Houston community for being so receptive and welcoming, is we were able to coordinate with a lot of other organizations, and why reinvent the wheel? And so we were able to coordinate with others and partner with others and really be able to focus and hit a bigger portion of the community than what we could have done just by ourselves. So I'm really so thankful to all the other organizations in the Houston area for coordinating with us on this.
Speaking of coordinating with each other. How has that been for you guys? Like just partnering up with different orgs, local orgs in Houston, with the same goal of helping others, helping the community.
I can talk about that. So, we're fortunate to be part of coalitions and collaborations in the community to address domestic violence. So we were able to, continue working on those collaborations and coalitions, through online meetings. And, one of the initiatives that the City of Houston and the Mayor's Office focus on in terms of providing relief during the pandemic for unheard voices and for the vulnerable was to focus on domestic violence as a pandemic and how would the city basically address that. We knew that people were going to need more shelter space, and the shelters, DIA doesn't operate a shelter, but we work with agencies that do have shelters to be able to get clients who call us to that safety. And so, during the lockdown, many of the shelters locked down as well, right? Like if you were already there, you were there, but if you needed a bed that evening after that, you weren't allowed in. And so, with the funding that was made available through the City of Houston and other COVID relief and local foundations and agencies, we were able to provide access to safe shelter space in hotels. And many hotels really partner up with us, and other businesses partner up with the agencies and with the City of Houston to be able to provide groceries and to provide like cell phone and obviously a safe space. And so we were really, being part of that collaboration was really like exciting for us, because we were able to really advocate and speak on behalf of the community that we serve, which is the South Asian community, largely immigrant, largely, not having that same access to the resources. And, we just saw how that these collaborations that we've been, cultivating all these years, how we were able to kind of just, we have that mission, right? Like our mission is to stop domestic violence, is to serve without judgment, without questions, doesn't matter what your background is. And we continued that. And I just love the way that we all came together in that situation.
That's beautiful. A question popped up while, like listening to you talk about how these different orgs like came together to help the community. And I wonder, like, for volunteers, because I know that for nonprofits, it is a big part of that is having a good volunteering network. Did this year and the challenges of this year with COVID and everything, did it affect the number of people willing to share their time and resources with you guys? Did it increase, or did it mobilize people to help more, or was it like kind of some people aren't sure? What was the response like for volunteers?
I can share just from a perspective of, we didn't have any volunteers initially, because we were brand new. So we didn't have any volunteers initially or anything. And so, what started happening was, people volunteering in different ways. Instead of coming and being there face to face and hands on, they were asking about what other ways could they volunteer to assist. Maybe they were making masks at home and they could, drop them off to us, or, it might have been something else, but a lot of it is, well, after the pandemic or after the restrictions are lifted, I really want to get involved. And so I will say that we still had a lot of people wanting to volunteer, but it was a lot of like behind the scenes.
Same with Mi Familia Vota. We definitely saw people signing up and trying to find ways. Like we mentioned earlier, people really got creative in ways they could help out, and we definitely got to see that.
Yeah, for us, volunteering can be challenging because where we're not in the same space anymore, and so many of our volunteers would help our clients with things like transportation or setting up their new apartment. We just weren't able to do that. So that was definitely a challenge, and that face-to-face interaction was definitely missing. and created some isolation for our clients and volunteers who were like desperately wanting to give back. And we were just so surprised at the number of people who were continuing to sign up to volunteer with us. And we had to tell them like, hey, currently we don't have a lot of opportunities because we're not out in the community with our table and booths, and we're not putting on in-person events. And, we can't take the liability of you like providing transportation during this time. But despite that, we did have people step up with like helping clients, through like a Zoom call to, provide them some sort of help with filling out forms or, their resumes, helping them to get jobs. And we were able to even like have a volunteer from the community put together these financial literacy classes that we could offer online, and we could record them and people could still learn from their homes while they were doing that. And that was done through a community volunteer giving his expertise and time. And so, we were creative again with volunteering this year.
Yeah, I feel like a big theme of this year is just being creative again, and also really utilizing technologies such as StreamYard and various like just doing webinars to give back to the community. And I wanted to also learn about how has that been like for people. I do know that a lot of collaborations happened this year virtually to educate viewers in the community about COVID or the experience of people of color during this really difficult times. And so can you guys just share like how did this challenge help us become more effective in the virtual format and kind of getting connected this way?
I really believe it's made you think outside the box. Somebody who's just a little bit older than a lot of the generation who grew up with technology. I mean, I didn't even have my first cell phone until I'd already graduated college. That's how old I am. So, so I really feel like it's made us think outside the box and how we could utilize this. Whereas most of the time we would have done things face to face, but how can we still accomplish that and make that happen even though everything's virtual? And I'm going to be honest with you, learning, having to teach myself all the different StreamYard, Zooms, all the different availability, available technology meeting sites. Learning all of those and everything like that has really, I think, opened doors to what we can do in the future as well. It's really taught me that you can really reach a wider audience and really be able to assist more people through technology. And so for me, I think this has been a really good thing.
Chelsea, Abdur, wanted to kind of find out how is this experience for you guys, like being on a panel and kind of like being able to communicate to your community in this way?
Yeah, I actually had the honor of hosting a panel during summer mentorship. But to kind of go back to the question of like, how did the challenges kind of change us as an organization? I feel like it's definitely made us more vulnerable, and we've broken down a lot of barriers. Especially this year, we had to be mindful of our mental health and our emotional capacity. And it's hard to organize educational programs when you start to look at the brutal truth of the world that we live in. And so that's what I wanted to do for that panel that I organized during summer mentorship. I interviewed like scholars. I asked a few PhD doctors to come speak about different questions. And two of them were actually, how is Filipina XO freedom tied to Black liberation? And how can we stand in solidarity for Black lives? And so it's these types of critical dialogue that really pushed our boundaries. And, some of the things we talked about were hard pills to swallow, but it's what makes those things so important to talk about. And so we want to continue having those conversations in our community, empowering people and also amplifying voices that are unseen and unheard. So we've definitely grown and overcome a lot of internal obstacles.
Abdur, how are you with, with this whole virtual format and kind of reaching your community through this platform? Yes.
You're talking to me?
No worries.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Actually, when I came to Houston, Texas in 90s, I saw that our community, especially the Asians, they were very behind in this socio-political system. So at that time, the first time I saw Martha Wang, she tried to be elected in the city of Houston. So she was elected in the city of Houston as a city council member. So after her term, she termed out. Gordon Kwan, he was the one who got elected second Asian in city of Houston. And after that, Mr. Abdur Khan from Pakistan, he was elected as city council member. So then I realized that, okay, our community should go ahead and be somewhere in the political square and get involved in the election, in the voter registration, in voting, and in supporting the candidate and being the candidate. So that was my big concern. And I think we did. If I show you here, I have a chart for national voter registration. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
Can you see here?
Uh-huh.
National voter registration. So I've been involved with the national voter registration last 5 years. So from 16 to 20, last 5 years, every year they have in September, last Tuesday of September, they have voter registration all over USA, and they have a target of registering 1 million votes in one day. And we were happy last time we have more than 800,000 votes were registered, and we were a part of that organization since last 5 years. So I'm very happy when you do that. And one more thing, I think what I'm teaching to my community that the people, some of the leaders who paved the way for the new generation.
Yes.
Like this year we have a high school graduates. We told them all these Pakistani American, they were mayor like Sadaf Jaffer, mayor in New Jersey, Dr. Arjun Hashmi, mayor Paris, Texas, and Dr. Saud Anwar, and Abdur Khan, and Rabia Collier. She is a judge. So I was telling the new generation, hey, they have paved the way for you guys to come and be something. And I think when high school graduate was there, we had ceremony, and we have distributed a portfolio of these brochures. So give up to everybody. Hey, these are the ones who came up something to become the leader of the community. Yeah. Why don't you come up and do something? So it was very welcomed by the students.
Yes, thank you for that, Abdur. That's very inspiring. And thank you for helping me pivot the conversation onto the elections. So we just finished an election cycle and about to start a new one. Right. I wanted to ask you guys, how has civic engagement changed due to this pandemic? How was your experience with it, Abdur? And I know Karim with Mi Familia Vota did a lot of civic engagement outreach.
And so you're asking, how did the pandemic affect it?
Yes. So how did the pandemic affect civic engagement this year?
I'm sorry, excuse me. Okay, so I would say that civic engagement was more unified than it would have been if there wasn't a pandemic. I think that the pandemic made people want to learn about voter mail-in ballots as well, something that maybe perhaps they had not done in the past. And it's something that we helped navigate and support them with.
Abdur, how has the pandemic changed the voter engagement, outreach, voter registration for
Definitely
you
there
and
was,
your
definitely there was a big impact of this pandemic on especially voter registration, because what we were doing, either telling people to go online, or we were not having uh, a group like in World Food Warehouse. We used to have, hey, this is our logo. Okay. Finally, you found out. Okay. This time we didn't have a person-to-person engagement, but we were doing online and telling people to go and fill up online and get the paper in the mail and send it back to them. So voter registration was this way. But in pandemic, we were also having another aspect of doing community service. We were distributing Pakistani Indian food on one of our restaurant, Chippies. Chippies are located on Highway 6 in Sugarland, and they are still giving food free to the people who don't have job and who need it free. When they go there, they just ask free food, and they are still getting it. And since last 1 year we have been doing it, we were also involved in that thing. So voter registration did have impact on this pandemic.
yeah, it sounds like you guys reached a lot of people through the meals.
We were distributing food in the boxes. Uh, Al Green, Congressman, Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswomen, they all were helping us to distribute, to putting the boxes in the people's car, trunk, and the line of the people wanting their food was miles and miles. You can't believe. In Houston and Dallas, we did have long lines of people who were asking for the food, and we did distribute that. And it is all documented in the newspaper and on the videos and on television. So I'm happy that we did that. We were part of that.
Sounds like a lot of hard work, and with it being over now, it's paid off. I wanted to ask about you guys' experience about being community organizers. As organizers, we continuously support and engage our communities, and one of the pillars in this festival is to give yourself time to heal. How and in what ways have you done this?
You're talking about the distribution of the food?
No, I'm just basically asking, like, with all of the hard work that we all put into this year's events, I wanted to ask personally, how have you guys given yourself time to heal and to kind of give yourself the time to reflect and to rest?
Just there was a problem, like in the mosque, we were not getting together on Fridays, and in Eid prayer, we had 15, 20,000 people come together. We canceled those, we didn't have those, but still we have contact online to the people of the community. So we were communicating to them, and we were knowing whatever their needs are, and we were fulfilling their needs, especially online. And most of things was online.
Thanks, Abdur.
I can add a little bit about that, about giving ourselves time to heal. You know, with Daya, our mission, part of, is helping people heal, heal from the trauma, the abuse, and a lot of that is very deep. And so we already have this culture of healing and of prioritizing our mental health and our physical health, spiritual health. And so I'm really fortunate to be with a team and an organization that does put that priority, knowing that, we can't give to others without giving back to ourselves. And so during this time, we definitely, we had a team discussions about what challenges we're facing. We would have venting sessions. And, we would do, and we're all working remotely. So, we would do check-in, we're see each other in little squares on our screen. And definitely missing, just small things like having tea with your colleague in the break room while you're decompressing from an intense session with the client. And so, in lieu of that, we every Friday we meet for 15 minutes, and it's no work talk. We are not allowed to bring up any type of work talk. And we talk about, what shows. Sometimes there's a prompt, or we're just our executive director did this great thing where she played music and we just like typed in whatever thoughts we had for that day and like whatever difficulty we were facing. And so it was just a great way to kind of like say like, hey, we're all in this together. And if you're thinking like your work from home situation is really difficult, we're all kind of like feeling that. And, we, one of the messages that we really focused on is like, be gentle with ourselves and be mindful in the work that you're doing every day, right? Like you can't do it all in one day, and you shouldn't try to like work hours that you wouldn't normally work if you were in the office. And so trying to like do too much because, we should be doing too much is not something that, we should be focusing on. Just because we're not commuting anymore, there's different like schedules and things like that. It's just, you don't have to be productive all the time, but like giving yourself that space to say like, I didn't finish everything today. That's okay. Tomorrow is another day. And tomorrow I'm going to tackle that more mindfully. And I'm just one person and I did my best today. And so that type of message and that type of like talking to ourselves and talking with each other really is helped us get through it. I mean, there were days where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't, like, I need to be around people, but it really, I'm just so fortunate to be on a team that prioritized that.
Yes, I like definitely agree with that. I feel like during the beginning of the lockdown, a lot of us felt this pressure of achieving more than what we expect ourselves to achieve in the office setting, just because we're doing things from home now. So I really appreciated all of the venting sessions I had with my coworkers and having that support system. Chelsea, would you like to share your experience with UnitPro and how you guys supported each other?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we also had heart-to-heart conversations as well, and that's what really pulled me through a lot of different emotions. And I think now I've kind of normalized that there isn't a truly happy ending to everything that's happened this year. Because the pandemic and all of the social injustices that have happened, there's always going to be a lasting effect. So there's always going to be these systems of oppression that will continue to hurt us unless we each do our part. And so after some time, I've accepted that my relationships have changed. My mental health is something that I really need to be mindful of. And through all of my lows, I found strength in myself and in my community. And so we had a lot of tough but helpful conversations, because I'm the type of person that just needs to talk things through. And I channeled all of the energy, all of like the negative energy that I had into doing something positive and to actually doing something to serve and help other people, because that's what filled my cup. And so that kind of goes back to what you were saying as well, as like you give and give and give, but you become like an outpouring cup of like love and care, because it's just fulfilling and it's rewarding in a meaningful way that some people don't understand. Like a lot of my friends are like, you do all of this like unpaid and all volunteer basis. And I'm like, yes, like this year has just reignited a new passion within me and within all the people that I work with at UnitPro.
Thank you for that.
I can share as well if you would like me to.
Yeah.
Kind of what Chelsea was saying too. I really feel like we are all in the position that we are in right now because we all have such a giving heart, and that's what we do. That's what we want to do in life. We want to give. We want to take care of others. We want to help others. And, we give and give and give, that sometimes we forget to give back to ourselves and take care of ourselves. And so during this time, especially when we were working from home, we're now back in our office, but when we were working from home, something that I really tried to encourage my team to do was twice a day, I want you to take for 15 minutes. I want you to put your phone down, close your computer. I want you to go outside and I want you to take a walk just for 15 minutes. If you're just going up and down the street, but it's a way for you to decompress, get away from everything. And take in the beauty that we still have, the sunshine, the nice air. And it really felt great outside in March, when we were kind of all at home. And so I was really encouraging everybody to twice a day, no matter what time you wanted to, really take that 15-minute walk and get away from everything and put everything down. And don't forget to give back to yourself.
Yes, that serotonin boost, just getting out and feeling the sun on your skin. Karen, I know you and I are both interns, and in school, I wanted to learn more about how do you give back to yourself after all, after a very long day working.
Hi. Well, I have to agree with Nikki that going outside just is always like a problem solver. If I'm just feeling like overwhelmed, going outside and going for a walk really helps. But also looking at the positive things that are happening and not focusing too much on all the negative that you do hear in the news, especially these last few months. And at the end of the day, what made me feel better with Mi Familia Vota and interning was that we were all together, like gathered in a Zoom or meet, but we were all interested in driving change. And so we were ultimately all thinking alike.
Yes, I think like sharing that passion of making change is kind of like a lifesaver, especially this year. So moving forward, I'm sorry. Moving forward in our current virtual reality, what are some of the projects that you have done during this time, like personal or with your organization? Any upcoming virtual events or any projects or community should look out for? Abdur, would you like to share what your org is up to?
I'd like to share through Mi Familia Vota that they are working and focusing on the 87th state legislature for Texas. So it's important because in light of COVID, there's big economic gaps and issues that we need to prioritize and defend. Prioritizing access to healthcare for everyone and unemployment, and defending education and those types of budgets that affect all of us. We also have some workshops this Saturday if you're interested.
Irfana, what has Daya been up to lately? Anything that we need to be on the lookout for?
So we, because I oversee outreach and education in the community. And what that would look like is that we would be at festivals, we would be at resource fairs, and we would have in-person trainings and education events, film screenings, and obviously, like, we had to change all of that. Like, I remember we had a community film screening. We're all going to go to a movie theater to watch this film, this Indian film that came out that addressed domestic violence, right? And the week of the lockdown, and we weren't able to do it, unfortunately, but we were able to move it online, and everyone watched it, and then we had a discussion about it via Zoom. So for the coming year, we are continuing to figure out, not just figure out, but like really work with our online platforms and how can we better leverage them, because more and more people are online all the time, right? So we have been putting out ads and going on community radio shows. There are so many South Asian radio shows out there on the weekdays, on the weekends, appearing on that. We've been having lunch and learn webinars every month with different topics, and those have been really successful. We've had panel discussions as well. And some of the things that we're working on is creating short videos where we can educate the community and people can share it, because that has a far reach, with people sharing and liking it. And so those are some of the creative projects that we're working on, is how can we better engage with our online community now, right? And we're hoping that through this online engagement and being on like South Asian radio shows and newspapers, that we can reach the silent victims that are out there that would not have access to us because we're not physically in their spaces anymore. And so let's see how that goes. Like, we hope to be back into the space, but like what I'm kind of looking forward to is how to have that balance, right? Like we know that the world has changed, and I don't think we're going to kind of go back to 100% like getting rid of Zoom, right? Or like StreamYard where we're on right now. And I think we're trying to figure out how to use it in conjunction with in-person events and in-person engagement. And so that's kind of the stuff that we've been thinking through and working on for this year and next year.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Zoom and StreamYard is going anywhere after all of this. If anything, it just allows us to reach more people, really. Nikki, what do you have anything that we need to be on the lookout for and ways we can support?
Well, we're taking everything that we had planned to do in 2020 and then just moving it to 2021, because of the pandemic and everything. So we have a couple of programs that we're going to launch in the spring. One of them is called Native Fit. One of the leading causes of death among Native Americans is diabetes, and so we're launching a Native Fit program. Where we're so lucky we just received a donation from Chevron to help support this program as well, and so it's just going to be about diabetes awareness, becoming more knowledgeable about it, nutrition, how to prepare healthier meals, and it's going to be a whole series of things, including exercise things. And so something that we're going to be doing when we get to the exercise portion of it is we're going to try to have community-led, kind of like you used to have flash mobs. We're wanting to do like community exercise mobs, and so that's something that we're going to try to launch around March or April. Hopefully restrictions are lifted, so we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, like outside under the sun maybe, and if not virtually. It's still very fun. It sounds very fun. Chelsea, would you like to share anything UniPro's up to for the next year?
Absolutely. And I also want to take this time a little bit to share something recent that we did online. We hosted a variety live stream show full of live performances, and we have two amazing hosts that collaborated with us. And we had all the 4 chapters of UniPro come together to raise donations and awareness of typhoon relief for Filipinos in the Philippines who are rebuilding their homes after Super Typhoon Goni and Typhoon Zamko. And so we are able to raise $800 together, and we're hoping to match that and double that through some of the companies that our staff is working for. So that's one online event that we had a lot of fun with, and we kind of felt that kapwa and sense of togetherness. And we also have Lumika, another live stream virtual experience that will be going live in January, at the end of January. And so it's an online art showcase. We'll have artists showcasing their work and being vulnerable about their experiences, what 2020 has, what kind of challenges they had to face in 2020. And so we're going to be sharing our stories through a 2-day weekend. We'll have a show for poetry, and we'll have spoken word, and we'll also have more live performances and artists who are going to give interviews. So we're very excited to showcase Lumika. We've been planning for it for months now, and we would love to invite you all and share all of our updates through at UniPro Now, which is right there, our Instagram, and we also have a Facebook page too.
Thanks, Chelsea. We would definitely be in the lookout for that. Abdur, you shared a lot about what you guys have been up to this year. I wanted to learn more about what is going to be happening next year, and what we need to be on the lookout for.
Yes, but we have planned in the University of Houston students, we have essay writing competition, but that will be in the month of March. But since we are in the last days of the last leg of this year, 2020, I think we will say happy holidays to everybody. And plus we will wish and pray for the new year 2021 will be kicking out the epidemic, because the vaccine is here. And although it's not widely will be circulated. So this starting with only the medical staff, but hopefully within 2021, it will be reach out to everyone all over the world. So that's how we are hoping and praying for the good times in 2021.
Thanks, Abdur. We hope 2021 is a better year for everyone. I feel like I've learned so much from you guys just from this conversation. And I know OC really appreciates the time you guys have set aside to join us this evening. So a big thank you from all of us. I just wanted any words, a few closing remarks from you guys.
I want to echo that. Like, thank you so much to OC on putting this together. We weren't able to have a Starry Night Festival like we normally do in person with that atmosphere feel, but I love the way that you guys have put on this event over a week and just bringing in so many voices and showcasing the diversity of the community. So thank you so much for including us and for showcasing all of that.
Good.
Same here. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to reach out to even more people and just bringing up community engagement.
Abdur, were you going to say something? Or Chelsea?
I always wish for everybody a happy new year and happy holidays. And we are expecting 2021 will be a good year for everybody.
Oh, thank you. I also wanted to say thank you so much for hosting this panel for us, and happy holidays to everyone. And in the spirit of Kapwa, I would still love to reconnect with each of the panelists here today and with all of the performers and creatives that joined OCA Starting Night. This whole experience has definitely been inspiring, and so I'd love to learn more from each of you guys.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you all so much as well. It was so wonderful to meet all of you and to be able to share with each other. So thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here again, and thanks for supporting me through this. It has been a pleasure facilitating this conversation with all of you. I think we're going to be ending this live stream soon. So thanks, everyone. Have a good night. Stay healthy, stay safe. Let's be kind to one another, and good night.
Thank you, Colleen. Doing a good job.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you. Good night, you guys.
Take care.
I'll take this time to fix myself, 'cause I will be the best of me, then you will see. Should've never left, 'cause you will never see me again. Baby, if you need me, baby, if you want me, will you ever call me again? So walk on this path alone to see what you see in me. Sometimes it'll be too hard, but it's worth it if I can be free. So tell me, am I doing alright? Am I the person that you wanna see? Baby, if you need me, baby, if you want me, will you ever call me again? Baby, if you need me, baby, if you want me, will you ever call again? I know that I will be alright, and I know that I'll be fine without you. 'Cause I will be myself tonight. Baby, if you need me, baby, if you want me, will you ever call me again? Baby, if you need me, baby, if you want me, will you ever call again? Baby, if you need me, baby, if you want me, will you ever call me again? Baby, if you need me, baby, if you want me, will you ever call again?
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected.